Welcome back, students, to the online lectures of Environmental Studies, Semester 2. We have been discussing since past couple of lectures on the second module, that is agriculture and industrial development. Till now, we have covered the 5 points from this module, including environmental problems associated with modern agriculture, concept of hunger and malnutrition and its global patterns, concept of food security and its global patterns, food security in India, and various sustainable agricultural development practices. Today, we will be discussing the various environmental problems confined to industrial growth. Before we start with the core part of this lecture, let us go through the module objectives. By the end of this unit, we will be able to understand the environmental problems associated with agriculture. We will be able to comprehend the ways of sustainable agricultural practices, and we will be able to know the environmental problems associated with industrial growth. Let us now have a brief discussion on how industrial growth is responsible for environmental problem. The growth of industries is an indication or an important parameter of economic development. Economic development is primarily associated with use of natural resources by various economic activities and sectors for the betterment of the economy of a country or a region. And therefore, the environment is directly related to the economic development, because economic development is not possible without the use of natural resources, and environment is the supplier of, or environment is the source of natural resources. And therefore, the economic development and the environment have been considered as supporting factors to each other, but it is also perceived that if you go on focusing on economic development, the quality of environment go on diminishing, and if you control the environmental quality, the economic development is not possible. And therefore, these two concepts have been perceived contradictory to each other, opposite to each other. The industrialist and the industrialist and entrepreneurs perceive environmental clearance as the biggest hurdle. In environmental management, environmental impact assessment or environmental clearance is an important prerequisite for getting their economic activities started, and therefore to get clearance of the environment or environmental clearance certificate, they have to struggle a lot. And therefore, for entrepreneurs, environmental clearance is considered to be the biggest hurdle. On the other hand, the environmentalists perceive industrial projects as the biggest threat to environment. So the perception changes when you convert from entrepreneurs to environmentalists. So environmentalists feel that industries are, posing more threat to the natural environment or quality of natural environment. And therefore, there has been a continuous conflict among the personals, those who are engaged in economic activities, and also those who are putting their efforts for environmental sustainability. And that's the reason why we have considered that economic development and economic quality has been normally, commonly perceived contradictory to each other. But it is a matter of fact that in recent times there has been an approach which considered that economic development and environmental quality can be complementary to each other. We can consider the economic development as the kind of development which takes care of environmental quality at one hand and economic progress on the other hand. As far as the industrial development is concerned, as I mentioned earlier, that for industrial growth and industrial operations or manufacturing activities, environment, is a source of input for industrial development. May it be a natural resource, may it be raw material, may it be energy resources, may it be fundamental natural resource like land and soil, and also for forest resources. And therefore, we cannot separate environment from the industrial development. In fact, environment is an integral part of industrial development. Land, which has its importance in terms of site and situation for finding out the best possible location for industrial establishment. Various kinds of natural resources function as raw material for industrial processings. Environmental quality is also an important prerequisite for industrial development. For quality input, environment is also a prerequisite for industrial development. Environmental problems arising due to industrial development have been there since decades now. The environmental problems arise by the way of industrial development have resulted into local, regional, and global level environmental problems. And these problems can be categorized as local environmental problems, regional environmental problems, and global level environmental problems. Local level environmental problems caused by industrial development include pollution, different kinds of pollution like air pollution, water pollution, land pollution, and soil pollution, sound pollution. Regional level environmental problems include desertification and acid rain, which are somehow confined to a particular region. Global level environmental problems, on the other hand, includes all those environmental problems which are posing threats to the entire globe, like ozone layer depletion, global warming, climate change, and so on. Industrial pollution refers to the contamination of fundamental natural resources like air, water, and land, deteriorates the quality of such fundamental natural resources. Industries are considered to be the largest contributor to the global pollution. It includes the deposited matter, suspended particles, released from the industries: glasses, metals, acid, agrochemicals, complex organic substances, photochemical oxidants, and all kinds of waste, including solid liquid waste that is released from the industries, go as a pollutants in the natural environment. And sometimes industries are also responsible for noise pollution, which has its own impact on various elements of biodiversity. Air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution or land pollution, and noise pollution are important types of pollutions. Now let us have a brief look at how industrial segments are responsible for environmental pollutions. We'll take some examples from Indian industrial belts. Like for example, Vapi industrial belt is more responsible for air pollution. Besides, Ankaleshwar, Bhivandi, Chandrapur, and Singurli are the industrial segments where air pollution is more prominent. Ghaziabad is considered to be the largest industrial segment in India responsible for water pollution, followed by Vapi, Ankaleshwar, Bhivandi, and Chandrapur. Ankaleshwar is considered to be the highest land polluted region, industrial region in the India, followed by Korba, Vapi, Ghaziabad, and Chandrapur. And overall pollution, may it be land pollution, water pollution, or overall kind of a pollution, Ankaleshwar, ranks first, followed by Vapi, Ghaziabad, Chandrapur, and Korba. So these are the important industrial belts where pollution is created, and they are ranking based on their level of pollution. Now these are industrial hotspots in India. If you look at their distribution, we find that North India particularly is a major concentration of industrial pollution, wherein suspended particulate matter is important pollutant there. And in South India, there is a very less concentration of pollutants, but in Maharashtra particularly, the pollution is more associated with cities and industrial segments therein, different places like Sholapur, Pune, Mumbai, Thane, Dombivli, Nagpur, Nasik, and so on. Chandrapur as well. Now, let us have a look at the kind of pollution that is created by industrial segments one by one. Air pollution, for example, is defined by World Health Organization as the situation in which the outdoor ambient atmosphere contains material in concentration which are harmful to humans and their surrounding environment. These are some of the important sources of industrial pollutants, including carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, which are released from industries where there is a combustion of fossil fuels like coal and oil, combustion of fuels like gasoline, blast furnaces, chemical industries, paper making, petroleum, oil refineries are the industrial segments from where carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide is being released into the air, resulting in intense air pollution. Nitrogen oxides in different forms are the byproducts in manufacturing of fertilizers, petroleum, and oil refineries. Chemical industries, paper making industries, ceramics, and iron and steel industries are responsible for the release of oxides of nitrogens into the air, resulting in air pollution. Sulfur oxides or sulfur dioxide, on the other hand, is also a byproduct of combustion of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and other sulfur containing fuels, petroleum refinery, metal ore smelting, paper making industry, chemical industry, glass industry, and also iron and steel industry, from where sulfur dioxide is being released. So carbon dioxides or oxides of carbon, oxides of nitrogen, and oxides of sulfur are primarily responsible for pollution of air. Now, what are the industrial air pollutants which are actually important pollutants therein? VOC or volatile organic compounds, which includes methane and non-methane hydrocarbons, are produced from industrial segments where solvents, petroleum refineries, petroleum chemical plants, paints and solvents and chemical industries are responsible for production of VOCs, that is volatile compound or organic compounds. SPM on the other hand, or suspended particulate matter, which are also called as dust particles or aerosols. Sometimes it also includes metal particles of iron, zinc, nickel and asbestos, are released from combustion, industrial processing, oil refineries, coal-based power plants, cement industry, construction sites, stone crushing, metal-based industries, leather and tanning, galvanization of iron, electroplanting, plating industry, automobile industry, metal refinery, fabrication and welding, from where such kind of micro particles are released into the air, resulting into deteriorating the quality of air. Air pollution primarily affect on human health. It also affects on animals and vegetation. Smoke combined with the fog most of the times result into smog. Materials, monuments, statues are also affected by the air pollutants. Ozone layer depletion and global warming are the global phenomena which are contributed by industrial air pollutants. Now, if we talk about health issues associated with fine aerosols or particles, which include shortness of breath, wheezing, coughing, chest pain, and fatigue, cardiovascular and heart disease, asthma, and COPD, difficulty in breathing, shortness of breath, sore throat, wheezing, coughing, fatigue, asthma, emphysema. These are some of the health disorders, particularly related to the respiratory systems, are the one which is affected by air pollution on a larger scale. If we talk about impact of air pollution on the various elements of biodiversity, we find that the entire biodiversity is getting affected by air pollutants in terms of disruption in the process of photosynthesis, disruption in terms of the quality of plants or diseases on plants, disruption in terms of the leaching of such pollutants into the rainwater, and then leaching on the land surface, resulting into various environmental problems. Animals, as far as is concerned, the air pollutants affects the life of the animals and plants, both on terrestrial ecosystem and in aquatic ecosystem, are affected due to the formation of acid rain, which is particularly affected by the air pollutants. Fish life affects it more adversely in the aquatic plants. Ozone layer depletion and excessive ultraviolet radiation also leads to skin cancer among animals, and birds are very much vulnerable to the air pollutants in caused by industrial development. I was talking about the smog that is being created. As far as the smog is concerned, during winter season in North India, particularly in Delhi, such kind of accidents do occur due to smog, wherein the industrial smoke is mixed with the fog, resulting into smoggy conditions during winter season particularly. So it not just reduces visibility, but also leads to various kinds of problems associated with road accidents, and also the railway transport and air transport get affected by that. 30% of drivers experience limited distance vision both in both the eyes, whereas 45% drivers experience limited near vision in both the eyes. And near vision invisibility is mostly involved in the accidents. So these are some of the important impacts on smoke that is being created. Now, these are the statistics of road accidents caused by poor visibility in the year 2014, wherein we could find that weather conditions that has resulted into more than 14,000 number of cases that are reported, about 12,000 people are injured, large number of people have died. So 5,370 people have died, of which 2,091 people have died because of poor visibility. And this poor visibility is, the result of increasing atmospheric pollutants in the air. The monuments such as Taj Mahal is turning to brown due to air pollution, which is on the bank of the Yamuna River. And it is said that Mathura oil refinery, which is around 40 kilometers away from Taj Mahal, is responsible for diminishing the beauty of Taj. You see that air pollution is associated with release of atmospheric pollutants, particularly greenhouse gases into the air, which also results in increasing global average temperatures, which have been plotted on this graph, wherein it is found that around zero point 0.5 to 1 degree Celsius average temperatures globally have been reported increased since past few decades. And the world has been getting warmer and warmer, particularly after the 1990s. The amount of pollutants are being getting concentrated in the air, and that has resulted into increasing capacity of the lower atmosphere to get or to absorb more heat, and which is as high as zero point 0.5 to 1 degree Celsius of temperature increase globally. So that's how we have discussed the problem of industrial development, particularly in terms of pollution, of which we have covered air pollution today. We will be discussing rest of the points in the next lecture. Till then, thank you very much.